Let's head to Centre Bell, where Eric Engels of Sportsnet.ca is joining us as they're working out the organ in the background. Hello, Eric.
Oh, I'm good. If you guys can believe it, the organ was not playing 30 seconds ago, so wouldn't be a Tim and Sid hit without the organ playing in the background.
Every time we do one
We're
of
getting
these
trolled
hits.
by organists who watch our show.
True.
Winnipeg, Montreal,
Right.
it happens a lot. Eric, great seeing you. 346 days, get my math right, between games for Shea Weber ahead of tonight. He has seen a lot. He's seen Olympics.
Yeah.
He's seen playoffs. He's seen it all. But there must be some nerves this evening.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, he's never really faced this kind of layoff in his career before. And I think in his second season, he had an injury. In the playoffs one year, he had an injury. He had an offseason to recover. This guy's had major surgeries on both of his legs. I mean, and a 345-day layoff between games isn't going to help. But, you know, that's the side of me that wants to temper my own expectations for what I think we'll see from him, at least to start. And then the other side of me says, this is Shea Weber. He's not a normal player. He's not Andrew Shaw coming off MCL injury. He's not David Schlemko coming off a knee injury at the beginning of the year. He's a guy that most people would agree is physically stronger than, 99% of the world. So I think, Claude Julien is taking this as a wait-and-see approach in terms of how he's going to deploy him. I don't think we'll see him play 25 minutes tonight, but it won't surprise me if we do. If he feels up to it and the adrenaline carries him through this game, I think we could see that from him. The real question for me is, what is he going to look like in 2-3 weeks from now once he's had a time for the adrenaline to come down a little bit and get readjusted to the speed of this game?
As he said to you yesterday, he should be well rested after those 345, 46 days that he is sat. You mentioned Schlemko. Is that who he's going to play with tonight?
That's how they're intending to start. And you know what? Claude Julien had a lot of pointed comments about Mike Riley's play. Riley at the beginning of the year looked like a shoo-in as a logical fit for a partner for Shea Weber, a guy who's skating really well and moving the puck efficiently and playing fast. And all of a sudden, he's in the coach's mire. He played a bad game. He's out for 2 games. He comes back in. He's out for another 3 now. And, Claude Julien was talking about the fact that he wants consistency from him, that you need to know which Mike Riley is going to show up, whether it's going to be the good one or the bad one, and not knowing is going to kill your team. So, you look at those comments, you could apply them to David Schlemko, who I think, he's played about 6 or 7 games now with the Canadiens after a knee injury suffered in preseason. And you look at Saturday's game, he might have been the worst player on the ice. He really struggled to move the puck. He struggled in his decision-making. We're going to get a good glimpse of how good Shea Weber is if he makes David Schlemko look like a different player in this game. And if that stabilizes, we'll see him continue on as the partner for Shea Weber. But it wouldn't surprise me if Victor Mete, who played his best game on Saturday, is the guy who moves up from the third pairing before the end of tonight's game and ends up on a pair with Shea Weber.
So a great evening for Weber. Hopefully it goes well for him. Everyone's excited in terms of who he plays with and what the blue line looks like, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, in the American Hockey League, you got a guy in a 4.6 salary cap hit who has accepted the demotion in Karl Alzner, and he's there right now. Eric, do you think we'll see him back with the club this year?
You know what? That's really going to depend on the injury situation here, Sid. And as far as Karl Alzner is concerned, he goes down. He's an easy guy to sneak through waivers with that contract. The Canadiens had a lot of low-cost defensemen that if they had placed them on waivers, there's a potential with some injuries around the league that they'd get claimed, that they wanted to maintain their depth. That's at least the way Julien put it yesterday. This you could see coming from a mile away in terms of Alzner. He's played 8 games this season. Going back to last year, it just hasn't worked. And not just with the Canadiens, because he's had to switch to playing from man-to-man coverage to a zone defense. It's mostly to do with the fact that his speed is not suited for the style of game that's employed in this league. And I think it's a real injury to his pride, obviously, to have to go down. No player wants to be told at 30 years old that they're not good enough to play in this league when what's worked for them for so many years enabled them to get that type of contract from Montreal. And I'll tell you, they weren't the only team that were bidding on his services. They were the only one that gave him a 5-year deal, and that's why he signed here. But there was a couple more teams in the mix. So, as far as Alzner is concerned, he's got to go down with the attitude of there's things that I need to improve and find some modicum of consistency in my game that I can find my way back, or that if injuries happen, I could potentially be an option for this team down the line, or maybe another team that might find interest if Montreal's willing to eat some of that cap hit. They certainly have enough space to do that in a trade. But it's a really tough situation. And to me, the biggest factor is no one ever expected that Karl Alzner would be an elite puck mover or be an offensive contributor. He never has been that before, even when he was playing great. But as a defensive defenseman, you have to be able to defend. And the best, that I've seen from him is keeping players to the outside. He's never really winning his battles, and especially in front of the net, he's really just a little bit lost there. So I think that's, you could talk about the salary and how easy it is to sneak him through waivers. At the bottom line is his play hasn't been good enough to play at this level.
You mentioned eating some money maybe for a deal. Eric, what's your gut telling you in terms of what Marc Bergevin's thinking right now in terms of his blue line? Is that something you might expect between now and February 25th?
Yeah, I mean, you look at obviously the deal for Shea Weber and PK Subban 1-for-1 and what's happened since. Weber hasn't had the type of partner he's played with in Nashville all those years between Ryan Suter and Ryan Ellis and Marek Zidlicki and Kimmo Timonen. There's some great players that he got to play with. He hasn't had that in Montreal, and it's been the eternal question is who's going to play with this guy. And I think, Nick Kypreos reported that the Canadiens are obviously scouring the market for potential options there. Jake Muzzin's name in Los Angeles has come up a lot. I don't necessarily see these two teams as trade partners when it comes to Muzzin. What the Canadiens can really offer might not be able to get a player like Muzzin, and how much of their future they're going to sacrifice in this reset mode to get a player that's only under contract for another year or two. One guy that does make sense out of LA is Alec Martinez, a guy who's very mobile and skates, and moves the puck very efficiently and could be a good fit next to Weber. The only problem is he plays the right side as a left-handed defenseman. So I'm not sure there's a fit with Los Angeles. St. Louis is a team that people are naturally going to look at the way things have gone for them this season. So we'll see what Marc Bergevin does. But I think we're in wait-and-see mode, and they're going to look for internal solutions to that problem. And maybe Mete emerges with more confidence from the coach and becomes that guy. Maybe Mike Riley finds his game next to Jeff Petrie or next to Shea Weber. And with a new look and the way Weber places everybody in their right place, maybe that helps. So I guess that's where they're at right now.
For a second there, I thought, and I'm not sure if it's the legendary Deanne Bibeau or if she just plays on Saturday nights, but I thought she gave you a break, and then she went right back. It was like a 5-minute interlude in between. You powered through. We appreciate it, and it's always good talking to you.
Yeah, no problem. The music is soothing. It's all good.
It makes it feel like a Habs game, does it not?
Yeah, it's not a Habs game without a good Oregon.
No. Sorry, what?
Or a good hot dog in the press box, but that's a story for another day.
She ain't show.
Eric, good stuff, man. Thank you.
Take care.